Now, before we get to Trump, you mentioned Black Lives Matter is not a George Soros.
No.
What's the origin of Black Lives Matter?
The origin of Black Lives Matter is just three queer sisters who started a hashtag. Patrice Cullors, Alicia Garza, and I forget the third one's name. You know what I mean? Now they've come under attack for being like highly feminist and not necessarily down. You know, people say that they're not down for Black men. You know what I mean? We can have that conversation. But literally, I would say this. People say that they started around Ferguson. That's the popular narrative. The movement started around Ferguson. If you do a search in the beginning of the hashtag, it was after Trayvon. These sisters just started that hashtag after Trayvon. You feel me? And these are just woke lesbian sisters who do their fucking thing. I've been surrounded by women like that for the last 10 years just because of my work in the community doing poetry. It's just a lot of woke, feminist, queer sisters who, you know, just some of the, you know, most intelligent people out here. But if you really look at it, if they started that around the time of the death of Trayvon Martin, then who really started the Black Lives Matter movement? Was it Trayvon Martin or was it George Zimmerman? Does that make sense? Who really changed the world? Was it George Floyd or was it Derek Chauvin? See, this is what people get misconstrued all the time. You are looking at the fire and not the spark. Don't look at the fire, look at the spark. Because the spark has been the latent white supremacist culture for the longest time that has been inside of literally law enforcement since literally they were slave catchers. You feel me? Don't look at the flame, look at the spark. Because that's who's really starting this shit off. So unless you can prove to me that George Soros called up George Zimmerman and was like, kill that nigga Trayvon tonight. You know what I'm saying? Then that's where that happens. So of course it snowballs and it gets into the mainstream politically. You know, there's this allegiance between Black folks and liberals. And the Act Blue website is often quoted as the place where George Soros does his like filtering into. But you can actually hit up Act Blue and get their statements. They have to be transparent with their statements. So if you don't believe them, you can just look at like their motherfucking money. Like they will tell you where to get it from. Act Blue, it is leftist, it is liberal, and it's also the platform which almost every new left-wing progressive gets their funding on. It's just a general platform. It's like a GoFundMe, except for people on the left, you know what I'm saying? So there's also their counter, which is Win Right. And Win Right is basically the same shit. So, you know what I mean? It's just not, it's popular mythology, but the right has concocted this socialist shit. Look, man, niggas don't care if you're socialist, capitalist, niggas just want to be free. You feel me? And that's how I've seen it.
So Black Lives Matter is what in 2020?
Black Lives Matter is more of an ethos, man. It's just it's like a zeitgeist. It's the spirit. It's the encapsulation of the subtext of every movement for Black life since the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like if you really look at it, dog, we've been trying to say this shit from jump. You know what I'm saying? Like
no, that part is right, but I'm talking about the business of Black Lives Matter. Is it now? Because now when I look at an NBA game, I see it on the basketball court, I see it on the black helmet. So
yeah,
it has to be in conjunction with white supremacists at this point, because it's now engraved into American culture and American psyche, more importantly, you know, or as important, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that's a possibility if you consider that this entire system is white supremacist at its core, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what carried Black Lives Matter through the ethos is the historical gravity of the justice and righteousness of Black folks' fight for freedom and how fucking long it's been. You see what I'm saying? Like Black Lives Matter carries the weight of the history. It is the inheritor, whether right or wrong, of the civil rights movement. It's the inheritor of it. You feel me? Literally the subtext Black Lives Matter. It's so simple, but subtextually Black Lives Matter been this, like literally, like emancipation was like Black Lives Matter enough to get free from chains. You see what I'm saying? Civil rights was like Black Lives Matter enough to be treated equally. Black Panthers was like Black Lives Matter enough to be defended by any means necessary. We will pick up a rifle to defend Black life. You feel me?
Sure.
So now we gotta say it in plain English because this the internet generation, motherfuckers are dumb. That's all I'm saying.
So what should we do on November 3rd? What's your stance on Biden and Trump and voting as a whole?
That's what's up. So here's what I feel like. There's a devil you know and there's a devil you don't, right? You feel me? I'm somebody, so let me just be real. Let me just be like 100% about this, right? 2016, with all the woke shit I'm involved, I'm in a community activist, I ain't vote. I was like, so this heifer Hillary fucking Clinton called me a super predator when I was 12, yo. Hillary Clinton is the reason partially why I got beat up by the police, yo. Because they're looking for a super predator, right? Hillary Clinton's why my boy Alonzo got killed by the police, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, she and Biden, in my mind, influenced that entire culture, you know, and legitimize it on the left. We ain't even talking about the right. It's that sneaky, to me, Hillary Clinton back in 2016 symbolized that sneaky, fake, left-wing white supremacy that they look like, you know, is your friend, but actually is there to do you worse because you don't see it. I was reminded, and I spoke often, of Malcolm X's The Fox versus the Wolf. You know what I'm saying? Where one was the fox because, you know, right. You know the wolf is a wolf.
They probably don't know the story, but feel free to elaborate because I'm a big Malcolm X guy, but feel free to elaborate on that.
Right. So Malcolm X was like, conservatives and liberals is both dogs. They fox and the wolf. You just looking for the wolf. You think the fox is smiling when he's baring his teeth. You just pretending to be your friend. That's how I saw Hillary Clinton. So I sat my ass down. I'm like, yo, man, either way, I'm going to be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm black. I've been in the fire. What they do? Then when the vote came down, I was like, oh, shit. Like, so low key, I actually already had an investment in, I didn't realize it. It's like, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Like, you didn't know you loved this woman until she walked out. You feel me? Like, it was like, oh, shit. I actually did not want Trump to actually win. You know what I'm saying? And so these last 4 years, I've been looking at my decision to sit it out. And I've heard every argument that there is, bro. And I get down with it, right? When I hear cats talking about tangibles 2020, you know what I mean? It's about time we started talking about that. It's about time we started getting that damn leverage up. Like, it's about time that we set our price way, way higher than we've been setting it. It's about time that we question our allegiance to like liberals just because we black, you know? And that's the devil that we know versus the devil that we don't. Here's the problem, though. You ain't gonna have no stochastic terrorists running out shooting Trump supporters thinking that Joe Biden gonna give them a wink and a nod. This is a different kind of danger. Trump poses a different kind of danger. And in my opinion, right now, it's a greater danger. You know, my Uncle Mike, he died of COVID-19, man. Yeah, what it is. He was already old. He already had pneumonia, you know what I'm saying? And I'm somebody who necessarily didn't agree with the lockdowns. I still don't think that we really can do much about it, to be honest with you. You know, countries that were locked all the way the fuck down are still having resurgences, man. Herd immunity, like low key, people aren't ready to admit it yet because politically you can't position yourself to have blood on your hands, but there's really not much that we can do about COVID. Like, it's going to have to play out. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. We got hit with this as like a nuclear blast. The fallout just has to be the fallout. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the fact that Trump is such a goddamn narcissist that he knew about the dangers of it and still didn't do nothing for a month. Like when Bob Woodward's book came out and it was clear that this fool knew like a month and a half earlier, the fact that because he was so scared of the economy sinking, didn't keep it real with the American people, the fact that he's left so many diplomatic posts understaffed, the fact that there's so many white supremacists willing to blow shit up to get a wink and a nod from him is a far more virulent existential danger. You got to look at the police. The police who are white supremacists feel like, oh, the president got my back. You got to make them feel like they don't. You see what I'm saying? You got to make these motherfuckers feel like, yo, okay. I seen this one MAGA hat that was a remix that said, make racists afraid again. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like they don't understand nothing but defeat. You know, they don't understand nothing but like to they wake up with the black eye and a loose tooth. Like, that's all they understand. You see what I'm saying? And the emboldenedness, right? You can track the Southern Poverty Law Center, the CBI, Colorado's Bureau, it's basically the FBI, but for here in Colorado. They've been tracking a rise in hate crimes ever since Donald Trump was a serious candidate. And it's getting worse every single fucking year. See what I'm saying? That puts me at risk. It puts all Black folks at risk. This African family here in Colorado, the Senegalese, beautiful Senegalese family, just had their house willfully burned down by white supremacists, killing children and everything. See what I'm saying? Like white supremacists burnt down this African family's house, killing the babies and everything. This was like a month ago, bro. See what I'm saying? These folks feeling like it is what it is, they can do what they want to do. And just because you like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for Biden, but I'm not gonna stop working. You see what I'm saying? It's not vote and chill, it's vote and work, my nigga. Like, this isn't gonna change just because, just think about this strategically. Like, think about it realistically. Think about it realistically, right? So you vote for Biden, Biden wins, and then what isn't happening yet is there's still a whole string of legislation that you can still have your motherfucking hand in. Still, right? And here's what's happening. You're voting in these young progressives right now that are actually entertaining the thought of reparations, that are entertaining addressing systemic racism. You see what I'm saying? Therefore, if Biden wants any majority over the Republicans, he's got to come up with legislation that appeals to those who are talking about the shit that we're talking about. Does that make sense? So Biden and Kamala, even if Kamala's Miss Officer Kamala, right? The thing about the fucking fox is that if you don't know he's the fox, that's when he's dangerous. Now we're looking at you. We're looking right at you. Try that shit again when the whole world, the whole Black community, you know. You go up there trying to pull that skin in and grin and shit, we looking at you, right? So when you vote in, I'm talking about chess, not checkers here. When you vote in those who are progressive enough to give a shit about listening to what you're talking about, in order for him to defeat the Republicans, he's got to put legislation on the table that look like what you're talking about. That's the strategy here, right? Even when we're talking about reparations, which I'm still a 135,000% believer in, you still got to have people who are in them positions that's willing to hear what you're talking about. And strategically, Biden needs them. That's why I'm voting. You see what I'm saying?
How did you disconnect Biden from Clinton, from Hillary Clinton, in terms of voting for Biden?
I'm still in like, it's the devil you know and the devil you don't. I don't like that cat. I don't like him. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just dealing with the fact that I'm the nigga who sat out 4 years ago. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I'm the dude who sat out 4 years ago. And I'm telling you, all y'all who thinking, they basically the same, my nigga, they not. They not. We're dealing with a structural instability situation that's known as democratic backsliding. Look this up. Democratic backsliding. You've seen it happen in a lot of third world countries, especially in Latin America. You've seen it happen in certain democratic parts of like Asia, right? Where you'll have a working, functioning democracy set up, and then you'll get somebody who's a dictator. And when that dictator gets in that office, what they do is they start rolling back the checks and balances. When they start rolling back the checks and balances, it enables the kind of abuses that happen to those who was already abused under that system. Those who fought for that democracy, fought for the democracy so that the least among them could have a seat at the table in some type of way. When you get democratic backsliding happening, it puts Negroes in motherfucking danger. Let me tell you something, man. People be rooting for society to collapse like you ain't close to this house of cards. You know, people didn't like when Killer Mike asked, so how much of your food and you go in your cabin and did you grow mine again? How much hunting you do, how much fishing you do? Let me tell you something. Hurricane Katrina let me know right now, society fall on Black people. You think you want this thing to fall. You think you think you want it to fall because America's fall is coming. You think you want it to burn because you think you're used to flames. Let me tell you something. When it falls on Black people first. What I say is figure out a 5 to 10 year plan that looks like strategically getting to where you need to go financially. Maybe even getting the hell up out of this country if you need to. But you're going to need this mug to be stable. while it's happening. Unless you got the farm already cracking, don't talk to me about you want this shit to fall. For real, for real. Unless you got that hunting already cracking, unless you got that fishing already cracking, unless you got, do you niggas know how to build in a boat a house yet? Cool. Get your stability. Under the stability, learn these skills. Each one teach one in the community. Before you know it, like we got a Black farm collective out here that's already building. We already got the land. I'm a part of it. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm already pricing the cows, the chickens, the goats. You know what I'm saying? We already know where to sell these motherfuckers at market. I'm telling you, I'm doing this, right? My man Shabasa, he really on it, right? And he got a collective of Black people that's on it, right? Hydroponics, like we figure out how to grow food. You understand what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Bailey, what up, Bailey?
Yeah. So we'll get to that.